Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is w.i.t.c.h.aholic. This channel we talk about a lot of things like my fandoms, especially Witch. So today I will talk about more what I would want to see in a Witch reboot. Um, so I'd love to hear your comments on what you would like. Also, maybe us fans, we could get together and get Disney to reboot it and reboot it well. But first, a few announcements. First, I came back yesterday from camping in New Jersey. So if any of you out there like camping and you want to know the place, just ask me in the comments. Second of all, I found out that there's this organization called the Harry Potter Alliance, and Harry Potter fans come together to do a lot of things like raise money for a charity. I thought it would be great to do something like that with fellow Witch fans. Not really sure how, but if you want to try to start something like that with me, again, please tell me in the comments. Also, I'm learning Spanish, so if anyone wants me to make a video about like that, what I do, again, tell me in the comments. Okay, so first, so now onto the video. Now, I am first gonna talk a little bit about chicken because I said in the first one I'm gonna talk more about them. But I'm not gonna talk too much about them because, again, I do want to go in order of the arcs. I'm just gonna mention them a bit because I said I was going to do that in the previous video. So anyway, as I said in the first video, people have noticed the similarity between Susan Vandam and Nerissa. I don't really see the similarity, but I think it would be a great idea if Nerissa was Susan's mother and Will's grandmother, because it would, explain why she was chosen. And of course, we know Yanlin is Helen's grandmother, so I think it'll be great if the other three were also related to the rest of Witch, whether it's being grandmothers, great aunts, or something. So also, it would make the bit about Interpol stalking them make more sense if someone put two and two together and realized that, oh, however much decades before, there's also some strange things going on with 5 girls who are related to these girls, and just make so much sense. So of course, when it comes to chicken, I would just like more like background information on their families, their ages and stuff. Again, I'd also want to know like their ethnicity. Like Nerissa, again, she looks like she's something Hispanic, Middle Eastern, something. Kadma also. Some people guess that she's Indian because of her dress, and her name is similar to Padma. Some people, have made Cassidy be Irish. Again, which she might be. Also, while I'm on the subject, it's like I don't really want their names to be changed. The same thing for Witch, but like the names is just like Halinor? Seriously? Like what kind of name is that? There's Helen, there's Eleanor, Halinor. Has anyone ever been named that? Like I actually looked it up once, and I think it was like in one of these baby name sites, but like I don't think I've ever heard of anyone being named that. Like, why did they give some of their characters such weird names, especially when everyone else has such normal names. But like Halinor, like again, like it'd be weird if they like changed the names, but like still, I think in a reboot, maybe they should change the names like a little bit to make them more normal. Like, um, because like Kadma, though apparently Kadma is a name in like certain countries, but like, I don't know, it's just why that name? Though, if they do make it clear, of course, that Kadma's Indian and Nerissa is this, whatever, also the names should match their ethnicity. The same thing with Helen. Someone, it was written on TV tropes that Helen is not actually a Chinese name. So, I don't know. Definitely in a reboot, I would want them to be, more like realistic. And if they give them, like actual names that people will have for the Lins also, you know, I mean, it looks like Yan and Hey and like our normal Chinese names, but yeah, just definitely if there were, yeah, a reboot. Also like Tarani, like I don't think I've ever heard of anyone being called that name. Is that like a real African American name? Again, it would be so strange to like have these characters have different names than I know them as, but like maybe like if the authors really did make up these names for some reason, I think in a reboot they should give them more like realistic names. Again, doesn't have to be changed so much. They could just make Tarani Tara or something. But like, yeah. Also, yeah, since I mentioned it, like the culture also, they definitely should um show the culture better. Like, I mean, they seem to show Chinese culture pretty well, but there was that they didn't make like the whole background be the of the powers, the tale of the four dragons, which is an actual Chinese legend, but they added in, Xin Xing and everything. So like, if we're gonna use an actual culture's mythology, why add in your own things? But to me, that just is really, really disrespectful. So, again, I would like them to be like more culturally sensitive and stuff. Okay, now on to the characters. So I want to talk about Matt. How I would like him to be in a reboot. So again, in the 7th issue, he says he comes from Kandrakar, which raises a lot of questions, especially, of course, since that doesn't really get explained. So, like, did he really mean that he himself actually comes from Kandrakar? Because how does that explain his grandfather and his mother and everything? Do they also come there? Do they know everything? And if he comes from Kandrakar, why did he wait till now to tell them and stuff? So, like, I mean, I like that idea, but if they're gonna do that, it should be like present much earlier, and it should be like hinted at, and he should like maybe come help them on a mission or something. And the same thing like his grandfather. Like I like the idea also of like Heatherfield like being like a place where a lot of people like are in the where they know the secret secret, but like whether it's Matt and his family or other people, but like it should be done well, you know. Speaking of that, it's actually popular in fan fictions for like boys like Eric and Nigel to be like to know what's going on and be some to be part of like some other like warrior organization. So I think it would be cool, but again, like it should be like done well, not like we shouldn't just get this revelation like, oh, everybody knows your secret and they were hiding it from you because of some crazy nonsensical reason. Like it needs to be done well. And actually, again, I think it would be really cool if the girls' parents, some or all of them, knew before. Again, because it's cool, also, it's such a pet peeve of mine when it comes to these things that kids get these magic powers, but they don't tell their parents. Presumably because of a rule, like we never know what the rule is, and it's just like these are kids who already are facing death literally. Who knows how many times to save the universe, but they can't or won't tell their parents because like what? Like they are kids. They need their parents' support and stuff. And it's like also you don't there's so many ways to do drama. If we're doing it just for drama, like why? So yeah, I really like the idea of, their parents, Matt, some of the others, like being in the know, but um they're like waiting to tell them, because I guess they wanna test the girls to make sure they could handle it or something. And then of course, from season 2 and on, they help train them or something. Speaking of like Heatherfield itself, like we learn in the fifth arc, like it's a place where the five elements meet stuff, but that doesn't really get explained. Again, in a reboot, I would like that to be more talked about. Like, why exactly is all that magic stuff happening in Heatherfield? You know? Like the portals and everything. I want that to be explained more and have a reason. Um, okay, so that's Matt. Again, also, when it comes to the other boys like Eric and Nigel, Martin, like, I would like also to know more about them and their families and stuff, because they they are like kind of major characters. The thing is, I really don't like the romance. Again, I like knowing who my favorite characters will or who most likely end up with, but they're 13 and 14. The boys are also that age, maybe a little bit older. Why the romance? Please stop putting romance in children's shows and books. When I would really like again them to be like paired up, but like more like hinted at, like if like if the time in the season is more clear cut, so it's like 5 years later. Okay, so then should have romance, but when at the current time when they're 13, 14, even a few years older than that later on, like don't have the romance, please. Um, there shouldn't be romance in children's shows. Like we need to stop. Again, I would like to have like some hints, like they like each other. They'll probably go out later, sometime from now. But the romance really should not be there. And speaking of the time, again, I would like the time to be like more clear. Like the second arc takes place during, and after the summer, and then after that it just goes completely haywire. No one knows, how long everything is taking. So yes, in the reboot, I would like it to be more clear that, it, these years, how, like, how much years passed, how much time it took, the whole Metamor thing, fighting Narissa, and so on and so on. Okay, I want to talk a bit about, Metamor and his characters. First, of course, when it comes to Metamor, I just want to know more about the history and the culture and everything. Now, about Elion. First of all, again, like, when her parents came to Earth, they chose normal Earth names, Thomas and Eleanor, but they gave Elion that name. Like, again, it'll be weird for her name to be changed in a reboot, but, like, I just can't, like, get over it. Like, why did they give her such a weird name? Like, what? Like, I mean, Ellen, might be a bit old fashioned, but that's a normal name. Elion? Okay. So, anyway, again, like, the whole thing, like, Elion's character, it doesn't make sense. Yes, she found out she's literally from an alien world and a princess and all that, but to just start hating these girls who were her best friends and to think they're the enemy, so on, it just doesn't make sense. That definitely needs to be changed in the reboot. I actually like how they did it in the cartoon. Well, I like a little bit how they did it. Still, some of it doesn't make sense. Also, again, I would like the reboot to be as much on the to be based on the comics as much as possible. But yeah, the cartoons, they did it better. That I still think that should be changed. But yeah, I think that should definitely be changed in the reboot. Like her whole thing, like. I like in the cartoon, like, they mention, like, there's, like, the ceremony of amalgamation that, that's supposed to weaken her mentally and stuff. Like, if they did something like that in the reboot to explain, yes. Yeah, I definitely think they should do that. Or, like, make Elion, just be more confused than anything. And to just, because again, like, she she found that she's from another world, but, she just goes there and, like, embraces it and everything. Like, she still has been living on Earth all these years, so it just doesn't make sense for me that she's so, like, that she's so willing to go into this new world, that she doesn't know anything about. So definitely, I would want, in the reboot for her, that maybe she's just, like, I don't know what, maybe, like, Phobos, gave Cedric something to enchant her, but it was too strong, so she's just overwhelmed and everything, so she decided to go, and Metamor, she's just more, like, confused and overwhelmed and stuff. And, like, she's not contacting the girls because she just didn't think to do it because she's just dazed and confused and everything. So yes. So I would like, something to be that. Also, as far as her parents, again, I think in the reboot, maybe they should have, told her about it, or like started or were trying to tell her. Because, first of all, again, that's just what bothers me in these kinds of things is like, when parents have a secret, but they're not telling the kids, and then predictably something bad happens to them, but and that's how they find out X or something. It's like, if your kid has magic powers, but you're not telling them, like maybe that's something you should tell them or something, or hint it, or at least hint it. Like in the cartoon, her parents are actually discussing that they should probably tell her, and that they don't. So I think in a reboot, they should at least have told her, or it's like leading up to it. Like, maybe they tell her stories, like when she was little, about all this planet. It's called Metamor, and on and on. And it just sounds like something they made up, but her to prepare they're telling it to her to prepare her. And maybe they're not telling her yet, because when she's too little, she might not understand that she has to keep it a secret, but like at least they're preparing her for when she's older, that those stories we used to tell you, oh yeah, it's real. Like, that I would like to see that in the reboot. And just also, again, like the parents seem to like love her, they raised her well, and in the comics she's just like those evil kidnappers, and like she just goes on. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. So I'd really like, again, her to be like, yes, she's upset at them, but at the same time, she's like, okay, at least they took care of me and everything. So yeah, I like those things to be done more realistically, and they should make sense. Now, as for, again, Cedric and Phobos, again, in a reboot, I just want things to be more explained, like the relationship and everything. And, like Cedric, why is he so loyal to Phobos? Like, especially when it comes to later when he betrays them, but like, when we first see him, he practically worships Phobos and everything. And he even goes to another planet, but then in the fourth arc, he betrays him. Like, what is going on? I need an explanation, you know? Also, like, he literally got a business on another planet and actually seems to be doing well. Like, how? How did he just get a bookstore and have a business, and just how? I need that explained. Also, again, how did Elian's parents manage to like fit in on Earth and everything? I just need that explained. Also, like the whole language thing. Again, it seems like everyone's knows English. Like, how does that work? I just need these things to be explained, because they are not, then they don't make sense. Again, also when it comes to Phobos, just, did he really kill his parents? If so, how? Why? And like, again, it's established that the portals need to be closed to prevent him from taking over the other planets, but so like, we don't really see him express a desire to do that. I mean, I think it's the 10th issue. One of the issues he says he took over other worlds, but we don't see that. Like, it was just a sentence in one issue. It's never explained. Like, seriously? Like, I just need an explanation. And again, like the whole power scaling. How powerful is he after he drained the planet's magic and before? How could he drain magic in the first place? Like, all this, I just need it explained. Because it's not explained and it doesn't make sense. The whole portals themselves also, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, why? Like, how do they work? Why do they, come up in such random places? You know? And why do the Guardians need to close them, but not anything else? Like, as Guardians, aren't they supposed to protect everything? Just closing the portals is not really going to do much for the people of Metamore, right? Again, also, like, Kandrakar, just so much of it doesn't make sense. Like, the Oracle is so powerful, but he just makes a veil, apparently because he cannot interfere, but then the Guardians work for him, so isn't he interfering when he sends them? Like, the whole premise of this doesn't really make sense. And like, they don't even train the Guardians, they're just sitting there watching them and like going on about, oh, they're too inexperienced and everything, but like, hello, you're not you- you're not telling them anything. What do you expect? Yes, in a reboot, yeah, definitely, all these things, they need to be explained. It made sense. I guess not really every little thing has to be explained, but it's just how the magic works, how everything works. That just really needs to be explained more and made sense, because it just doesn't. Okay, so this video, was pretty long, so I guess I'll stop here. But again, if you don't mind the length, please tell me in the next comment, and the next video, maybe I'll do arc 2, because I think I went over, you know, the main things in arc 1. So I guess I'll see you next time. And again, please comment on how you would want the reboot to be done, how you would reboot it, and go and so on. And I would love it if we can, contact Disney and ask them to reboot this or something, because it is such a great franchise. And okay, that's all for now. I'll see you later.